The bones lay silent beneath Europe's limestone valleys, buried under layers of sediment, ice, and time itself. They belonged to a people who were once closer to us than any other humans who ever lived. So close, in fact, that traces of them still live inside you. Yet for over 150 years, they've been misunderstood, misrepresented, and pushed to the margins of our own origin story. The Neanderthals. They've been portrayed as brutes, as evolutionary failures, as a dead-end branch on the human family tree. But today, ancient DNA is telling a very different story. A story that doesn't just change how Neanderthals lived, but where they truly came from. And what it reveals is far more unsettling than anyone expected. Because according to their DNA, Neanderthals may not be purely European at all. For decades, scientists believed they were born in Europe, evolved in Europe, and died in Europe. Their fossils stretch from the caves of Spain and France to the cold plains of Siberia, some dating back more than 400,000 years. On the surface, the evidence seemed clear, but DNA doesn't care about assumptions. It preserves history whether we're ready for it or not. And now, that history is finally speaking. A groundbreaking study led by an international team of geneticists and paleoanthropologists has analyzed ancient DNA from Neanderthal remains found across thousands of miles. From the famous Vindija Cave in Croatia, where some of the best preserved Neanderthal DNA has ever been recovered, to the remote Altai Mountains of southern Siberia, a place so isolated that its discoveries stunned the scientific world. By comparing nuclear DNA and mitochondrial DNA, genetic material passed down through mothers, from bones and teeth preserved in rare near-freezing conditions, researchers were able to reconstruct a genetic map spanning hundreds of thousands of years. These fragments were then compared with hundreds of ancient and modern human genomes from across Africa, Europe, and Asia. What they found rewrote the timeline. Neanderthals split from a common ancestor they shared with modern humans roughly 600,000 years ago. That ancestor was likely Homo heidelbergensis, a species that lived across parts of Africa and Eurasia. But the big question was never the split itself. It was where Neanderthals became Neanderthals. And for a long time, the DNA was silent. Until now. The earliest Neanderthal genomes carried genetic signals that didn't belong to Europe at all. Instead, they pointed east, deep into Central and Eastern Asia, even further back than scientists expected. These early Neanderthals carried traces of an older hominin population, one that likely originated thousands of miles away before slowly moving westward into Ice Age Europe. This wasn't a simple migration. It was a long, fragmented journey shaped by climate, geography, and contact with other human groups. One of the most shocking discoveries came from a single individual, the Altai Neanderthal, a female who lived more than 120,000 years ago in southern Siberia. Her DNA revealed clear signs of interbreeding with another mysterious group of ancient humans, the Denisovans. This wasn't supposed to happen. The prevailing theory once held that Neanderthals and Denisovans split cleanly and evolved separately, but her genome showed that reality was far messier. Neanderthals weren't isolated. They were part of a complex web of interactions, mixing and exchanging genes with multiple human groups over tens of thousands of years. The Neanderthal story, it turns out, is not a straight line. It's a braided river. The DNA also revealed something else, equally disruptive. Not all Neanderthals were the same. Early Western Neanderthals, such as those found in Spain's Huesos cave, dating back over 430,000 years, had noticeably different genetic profiles from Neanderthals living further east. This means Europe wasn't settled once.
It was settled again and again. Multiple waves of Neanderthal populations moved into Europe, sometimes replacing earlier groups, sometimes mixing with them, sometimes coexisting for thousands of years. Each wave left behind subtle genetic changes, small shifts that only modern DNA analysis can detect.
So what drove these movements? Climate. Ice Age Europe was not a stable homeland. It was a land of advancing glaciers, collapsing ecosystems, and brutal winters that could wipe out entire populations. During glacial maxima, humans were pushed south into refuges. During warmer periods, they expanded north again. These cycles repeated over and over, forcing Neanderthals to migrate, adapt, and reconnect with distant populations. And during those migrations, they didn't travel alone. The DNA uncovered traces of genes from an even older hominin, possibly Homo erectus, embedded deep within Neanderthal genomes. This suggests their roots stretch far into Asia, long before they became the Neanderthals we recognize in Europe. The implication is profound. Neanderthals may not have originated in a single place at all. Instead, they emerged across a vast, interconnected range spanning continents, a population shaped not by isolation, but by movement. And one location, more than any other, helped confirm this: the Caucasus Mountains. For decades, archaeologists suspected this rugged region, wedged between Europe and Asia, played a critical role in human history. But it wasn't until the discovery of a Neanderthal child in Vindija Cave that the DNA finally proved it. Her remains date back more than 40,000 years, and her genome told a story unlike any Neanderthal from Western Europe. She carried strong genetic links to Eastern populations, echoing the ancestry seen in the Altai Neanderthal. The Caucasus wasn't a border, it was a bridge. A genetic corridor where Neanderthals moved, mixed, and migrated between continents. The timelines revealed by these genomes are staggering. Between 100,000 and 60,000 years ago, Neanderthals expanded and re-expanded across Eurasia multiple times. Each expansion left a genetic signature, like invisible footprints preserved in DNA. And each expansion increased the chances of contact, with Denisovans, with other archaic humans, and with us. This matters because the Neanderthal story is inseparable from our own. Every non-African person alive today carries roughly 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. That genetic inheritance is the result of repeated interbreeding events, some in the Middle East, others possibly much further east, long before modern humans fully left Africa. Even more surprising, some Neanderthal lineages appear to have received genes from early modern human relatives over 200,000 years ago. That means contact between our ancestors and theirs didn't happen once, it happened again and again. So why did Neanderthals disappear around 40,000 years ago if they were so adaptable? DNA offers part of the answer. Toward the end of their existence, Neanderthal populations became smaller and more isolated. Inbreeding increased, genetic diversity declined. This made them more vulnerable to disease, to climate swings, and to competition. At the same time, modern humans were expanding rapidly. With larger social networks, broader trade connections, and more flexible technologies, they spread across the same territories Neanderthals once dominated. But extinction is not the same as erasure. Neanderthals live on. Their genes still influence our immune systems, our metabolism, even how our skin responds to sunlight. They are woven into our biology, not as relics, but as contributors. And now scientists are pushing even further, searching for Neanderthal DNA in cave sediments with no visible bones, in microscopic traces on ancient tools, in hardened dental plaque preserved for tens of thousands of years. Every discovery sharpens the picture. The true origin of Neanderthals is not a single point on a map. It is a story of journeys,
of adaptation, of survival across ice, stone, and time. A people shaped by movement, not stagnation. And when we trace their path, we're not just uncovering their past, we're uncovering our own. Because within every strand of human DNA, there are echoes of Neanderthal endurance, of nights spent huddled around firelight, of hunts in freezing winds, of lives lived on the edge of survival. They walked landscapes that would break most of us, and still they adapted. And in doing so, they became part of us.